Lobster rolls, two different ways, perfect for this upcoming summer. Here's how I make mine. You can start with completely raw lobster, that's totally fine, but I find it easier to buy them cooked. I have a fish market near me that will sell, these are like half pound, maybe pound lobsters. I got 3 of them for 40 bucks. Each one of these makes about 1 lobster roll. They even crack the claws already, so they're very easy to pop out the meat. I'm going to use the claws and the tail here. Just start picking out as much meat as you possibly can. You don't need to stress out about it. If you leave some in there, that's totally fine. I also don't really use the bodies. You know, you can go ahead and crack. It's so hard if I don't have a claw cracker at home with me. I wish I did, but using a heavy-duty knife is great. If you've never taken a lobster apart, the easiest way to take that tail off is to kind of twist and pop. Cut right into it and then kind of pull it apart sideways from the shell. When it's cooked, it's definitely harder to get through than if this was raw and you were popping it out, but it's just easier to get these. And so you just kind of pull it sideways like that and it'll pop right out. I'm going to cut the little green bits off from like the innards, just because I don't think they look great in a lobster roll. These are just little snacks to eat on the side. But like I was saying, I don't use the bodies for lobster rolls. I'll use those for like a stock or for other general seafood purposes. But we're just going to chop these up now into little pieces. And we're going to make the cold lobster roll first. Then I'm going to do the same process and we're going to do a hot one after. But for this cold one, we're going to put in about half a stick of celery. And I like to add a little green onion as well. You don't need to do that. I'm also going to use the green onion in the hot lobster roll. But just cut these into nice small bite-sized pieces. You could kind of decide how big you want them per bite. Some people like a little more bite, some like a little less. You do you. I like them fairly thin. Repeat that same process here with the green onion. I like to get a little bit of both ends so you get a little nice textural difference. But also, just do you. Throw that into a bowl, add a little bit of mayo. That's probably about 1/8 of a cup, maybe a little bit more, and just mix it together. You can add any other flavoring you want. I'm just going to add to this the slightest bit of salt and white pepper, just so you don't see the big pepper chunks. You could use black pepper as well. Mix that up and throw that into your fridge. Let that sit for an hour or two. The flavors will kind of come together beautifully. And that's done. Now for the hot lobster roll. The way I like to make them is to take butter, melt it down, and reheat the lobster. Or if you're cooking it from raw, butter poach it. But these are fully cooked. They just cool down. So I'm going to melt butter, the same butter that you would pour onto the lobster roll. And then I'm just going to reheat the lobster pieces in this. So I have 2 more full lobsters here that I've already taken the meat apart. Just mix up your milk solids here. You don't need to clarify this butter at all. Pour the rest of that lobster in. If you were in a restaurant, they'd give you clarified butter, but for your home purposes, you don't need it. Just pour those lobster chunks in, and now bring them up to a nice temperature. Don't boil this, just get them warm. While you're doing that, get the New England style rolls, cut down the top, and they should have these nice bread sides. They're not like a regular hot dog bun. They have flat sides. Perfect for heating up. So throw a little butter in a pan and toast those sides up beautifully. It'll give you a real nice textural contrast of hot, crunchy, buttery. Absolutely perfect. And now all you need to do is fill these. There's so little work involved here. Some people I know are afraid or a little intimidated by lobster roll, but you don't need to be. They're not even that expensive when you buy the lobsters from a fish market. You can make 1 lobster roll for under $20. Sure, it's not a ton of food, but it's great. Just throw as much in here. Make sure you're grabbing a nice good piece of the claw too. Go in and find one. Good piece. You know, it shows that your ingredients are fresh and not just chopped up discarded bits. Keep throwing those in. The butter will come out with it. You could ladle on a little extra if you want. I'm going to throw a little green onion there as well. And that's all you need to do for a hot roll. You could add anything else you want to these, but I like to keep them very, very simple. If you like citrus, squeeze a little lemon on it. I'm not a huge fan of lemon in the lobster roll. I like to really let the flavor come through, but you could absolutely do that. And now just grab your mixture from the fridge and put that into a bun as well. And here you have your 2 contrasting styles. It's, you know, the Maine versus the New England. It is very different. The hot ones are very texturally different. The Cold ones are refreshing and delicious. The other ones are savory and warm. You do you. Pick which one you like. They're both incredible.